Hi, I'm Sarithri, and today I wanted to talk to you about Biscornu. And yep, I sure have made a few of them in my time. Biscornu! What are they? Why do I need one? And how can I decorate them? Now, first of all, what is a Biscornu? It's just a fun little shape. There are a bunch of different ones. I'm going to be showing you all basically two-sided ones, but you can make them with multiple sides. That's a whole nother blog for me. You can check out my blog on 3D cross-stitch projects to find a couple different examples of like 4-sided or 12-sided or Quaker balls or whatever. But for today, I'm going to be focusing on just the traditional two-sided Biscornu. And basically what it is you take two squares and you stitch them together but offset by half a square. Now, I'm not going to give you a tutorial today because I already have a tutorial on my channel. I will link that and you can check it out there. They're really easy to make, they're very fun to make, and they're just fun little things. I have a whole basket full of these, and I'm going to go through some of the types of Biscornu that I've made and how I like to decorate my Biscornu. Now, you'll notice one of these has a ribbon on it. These Biscornu can be used as decorations. I have a whole bunch on my Christmas tree. I also like to use them as pin cushions. That's a very popular use for these. You could use them as like jewelry holders. You put like rings in there. I like to use mine as a dice holder when I play tabletop games. But you know, there's a lot of different reasons for these little guys. And honestly, art doesn't have to be useful for it to be worth making. So don't worry about what it's for. Worry about making something beautiful. A lot of people like putting buttons in the middle of their Biscornu, because part of the shape is that little cinch in the middle, and they'll put a button in the middle, but you do not have to. So there are plenty of ones where you can have a cross-stitch design and just stitch in the center. You can have an actual like focus in the middle, like this Eye of Sauron, or like a Pokeball. I do put buttons on the bottom usually just so that they'll hold their shape nicely, but you don't have to do that either. Here's another Pokeball. And again, these have ribbons. And this one. And like I mentioned before, you can add ribbons so that they can be hung. These could be used just with stuffing. You could fill them with like potpourri so that they're scented sachets. The ribbons can be long, they can be short. They can be thin, they can be even thinner, they can be thick old ribbons. Whatever suits your Biscornu best. Here's another one without a button. This one has a tiny button. Now, for most of the ones I've shown you, you'll notice that the bottoms are just a blank square of Ada. You could actually stitch stuff on the bottom as well. If you have it sitting on your desk, you only really see the corners of the bottom. So you could stitch something just on the corners, like maybe duplicate the corner motifs so that they go both ways. And I'll have some examples of that here later. Or you could do a whole design on the bottom and have it be reversible. Or you could just leave them blank. One thing that I like to do is use quilting cotton as my bottoms. That way I'm not feeling like I'm wasting the arguably more expensive Ada or linen, but I'm still adding some decoration to the bottom of that Biscornu. And of course, they should match in color scheme, maybe, or provide some contrast. Yeah. So I also have a tutorial on how to do the quilted cotton bottoms. That one's only on my website. I don't have a video of that one yet. I should probably make one. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. But still, quilting cotton bottoms makes for a nice decorative touch without any extra effort, really. The other fun thing to do is find novelty buttons. So for example, I have this spiderweb Biscornu, and it's got a little spider button. The bottom is also a little spider button. Another fun thing about this one's actually glow in the dark. We have things like pumpkin buttons and little leaves, candy corn, more leaves. This is all very fall themed. How about a bee? This is probably my favorite. I haven't been able to find a replacement of these though. And then the tiniest little button on the bottom. This one that I showed earlier has both the quilting cotton bottom and a cool bee button in the middle. This one's actually by Crafty Gurumi. I will link her below because her stuff's awesome. If you don't have novelty buttons, you can get a button mold and make your own. These are resin buttons where I put little inclusions of lemon and lime in there so that it matched. Or I just did like a red sparkly one. That's another resin button I made. That's an option. Another option is you don't have to use buttons. For example, this is actually a bead. This is also a bead, a little pearl bead. I've used little silk flowers. Those are fun. Here's another silk flower. This one actually, I attached a bell. So this is normally on my Christmas tree. So you can attach little danglies there. Speaking of little danglies, you could do little tassels. So this one's meant to be sitting on my desk as a pincushion. So I did tassels on all four corners. But you could just do one tassel on one of the sides opposite your ribbon so that it hangs up. That's an option. You could decorate the edges of your Biscornu. So I have this tiny Biscornu. That's another little bead in the middle. But I did the edges all with beads. So as I stitched up the edges, each stitch I would grab a bead. And that turned out super cute. You could decorate your edges with cording. I made my own cording for this, and I do have a tutorial for how to make your cording on my website, and I will link that below as well. But you could stitch that right onto the edge to make a cool little edging. This one that I showed with the silk flower is another example of stitching stuff on the bottom to, decorate that side. If you don't want tassels on the edges, how about beads? Here are some little flower charms on the edge of this Stardew Biscornu. All in all, my point is that you can add so many little details to any cross stitch pattern. Doesn't matter what the top is. You can make it your own by just adding fun little details like these to your design. So what other options do I have for decorating these? Do you have any ideas that you can put down below in the comments of what else people can add to their Biscornu? Note that Biscornu do not have to be cross stitch. For example, here is a crochet one. I did a mini granny square, a old daisy square, and I think I found this pattern on Ravelry, so I'll link that down below, and just stitch this two squares together. Here's a knitted one that I did that's a little lumpy because I don't knit very often, but it is a knitted Biscornu. Just knit two squares and stitch them together. Here's a Sashiko one that I did recently for my floss adventure this year. Got two different Sashiko patterns and I stitched them together. Here's a cute little English paper piecing one that I did a while ago. These are 1/2-inch hexagons and gems, and it's double-sided. How cute that turned out. And you can have all sorts of different sizes of Biscornu. So we have a tiny little Eevee Biscornu. I didn't cinch this one because it'd be bright on its face, but a little Eevee Biscornu. I actually did a whole set of those. So here we have like Vaporeon and Jolteon, etc. Those are freebies over on my Ko-fi if you would like to stitch your own evolution faces. Or you could make a big Biscornu. Now, I did not make this one. This is one I got in a swap from the Pixel Stitch Discord server. And look at it. It is amazing and it is huge. I love this thing. So, big or small, button, no button, ribbon, quilting cotton bottoms, fun little additions like tassels and beads. This is why I love Biscornu, because you can make dozens of Biscornu and they're all just so very different and amazing. So, should you try a Biscornu? Absolutely. Why not? But that's all for me today. I just wanted to show you a couple different ways that you can embellish your Biscornu. And down below I will link my blog on the same topic, so if you would prefer to see it in still photos and written down with links to how I made the tassels, where I got the bell from, that sort of thing, it'll be all linked down below. But whatever you decide to do next, keep creating, whether it's a cool Biscornu or something else entirely. For you to want to make.
This is a reminder, feed cat.
I should feed my cat.